Live. I am the DJ Anthony right here. You see that? That's Dr. Magnus, okay, a PhD in biochem. Wellness Week, ladies and gentlemen, hot show right here for you. Right here we go. Here's the topics. Okay, number one. What is good nutrition to increase O2, oxygen in our lungs? So if if you're an athlete or you're a runner, in my case, tennis player, or you're a cyclist, what foods can you do or consume to boost to give you better cardio in every aspect of your life, if you know what I mean, guys? Okay, and also mental health. What can we do, or what is our society expected to do for the people who are older and not mentally well? So not so much younger people, but what happens when you're in your 60s and 70s and 80s and you're not mentally well? And I'm not saying you're crazy, but what is this world for you going forward? And then what does once in a while mean for you? So I'm going to give my opinion on once in a while so far as it pertains to junk foods and crap foods and alcohol, whatever. And Magnus, you'll give your opinion and what you think once in a while is. And the viewers, what do you think once in a while? You hear doctors say, I know once in a while. You can have that. But moderation, what does this mean, though? So anyways, Magnus, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, bro. Look at that. You're wearing a red shirt that matches the red backdrop there. Very nice.
It matches the logo too, I think.
Yeah. So, see? If you were here, you would just have a head then. You would be like
I was just floating around.
Green screen.
Like a green screen.
That's right. Before I forget, I'm back in my studio. I have this. Don't forget, like and subscribe, people. We're getting a lot of, I'm telling you, man, we got a lot of people, and it's getting bigger and bigger. We're closing in 100th show, and anyways, so Magnus, what say you? You're an athlete and you work out, and I know I do a lot of tennis. Sometimes 5, 6, 7 hours in a day on top of cycling and my regular walking. So I do consume. This is what I consume to help me with my O2 oxygen levels and getting more oxygen and helping me in my cardio. And you tell me what you eat. But for me, my silver bullet is, because I did a little research about this about a year or two ago, and my dog is driving me crazy. Hold on one second. Hey, Rocky, stop. Dog. I can't live with them. I can't live without them. All right. Anyways, so my silver bullet to vasodilate, open up my arteries and veins. You know the term, Magnus, I'm saying for the people out there in TV land, is beets. 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 Beets have, I guess, nitrates, but there's good nitrates and bad nitrates. They have the good nitrates, and beets opens up your blood vessels in your arteries and helps you get more O2, more oxygen into you. So it's a vasodilator. So I make sure that I eat a lot of beets, but there's other things too. I make sure I eat a lot of olive oil. I tried my best to consume 1 liter of olive oil per week. So I drizzle it in everything, on everything.
That's a lot. But I mean, it's good.
I'm just going on with, listen, there's a guy named Dr. David Gundry, I think he's by you, actually. Very famous cardiologist. And he goes, your whole goal in life is to consume olive oil every friggin' day as much as possible. He's like, that's where all the people that have the healthiest lives in the blue zones, particularly in Greece and Italy, Mediterranean, they olive oil all day, every day, all the time, and everything. So I was like, so olive oil, because as you know, Magnus, olive oil is a great compound by nature to help with our, again, veins and arteries being malleable. Helps with not only that, but with arthritis and aches and pains and immune system and gut function and yada, yada. So beets, olive oil, natural carbohydrates and vegetables I use a lot to help me with my cardio. And if I know that I'm going to have a heavy cardio day, I will have the pasta, which I kind of frown upon, but I will eat pasta, but like the size of the palm of my hand, maybe the night before. A lot of hydration for my cardio, to help cardio. And good night's sleep too. So those are, but sleep's not nutrition. But anyways, that's what I eat. Magnus, what would you eat, or what do you eat to help with your cardio?
So here's when I either like myself or if I talk to a client, and then you usually try to break down the sport. So looking at the sport is usually one of the best things of kind of figuring out what the athlete needs. And we're always talking about, but we're talking about energy systems. So let's talk quickly about which are the energy systems that we actually have. So you have the ATP phosphocreatine one. That's kind of the short spurt, like we're talking about. It's usually 4 or 5 seconds, and it's a quick burst. It's basically fight or flight, so we can run away from something, or basically push it away or fight something and then get away. Then we have the glycolytic one, which is basically a carb source. It's a sugar source that we have glycogen in our muscles and our liver and things like that. That is a little bit prolonged, a couple of minutes up to several minutes actually. And then we're going into the oxidative one. It's slow, but it creates a lot of energy. So when it comes to tennis, we're using all three of these energy systems. So that's why it's interesting to kind of figure out what we need to eat. So you mentioned it, kind of carb loading. So we're getting glycogen into our muscles and into our liver, right? And then we also need to have the oxidative one, which actually uses fat to burn. So you're talking about eating olive oil, which is great too. Other sources of good fats would be fatty fish and seeds, etc. But for me, I mean, like, it all depends on how long the actual physical activity is. You know, like we're if it's under an hour, very few people needs to start. And if you're not a pro athlete, you don't need to have sports drinks and things like that during play. Water usually helps out quite a lot. Once it gets to kind of over 60 minutes to 90 minutes, then you can start figuring out of having sports drinks. You're getting some kind of carb source while actually doing the activity. But looking at tennis, I mean, like, we're talking about, like, if it's a free setter, then it's usually around 90 minutes. If it's a 5-setter and it's a long one, it's a 2.5 hours. So we're talking about pro level. So you are not you're not moving that much when it comes down to it. You, like, maybe during that time, people move around, say 3 to 5 miles, like, which is not that much. I mean, we're looking at a soccer player that they move around twice the amount usually during that time. So, but like, tennis is like, one thing that tennis, like, people kind of not think of is tennis is a very explosive sport. It stops.
Well, it's like hit training, you know. It's explode and then down, explode and then come down.
Yeah, which is pretty hard, you know, like, it is hard on the body, but you have time to recover. And that's the time when you get, like, the ATP comes back and things like that. So you're able to use fast twitch muscle fibers, which usually, like, do short bursts and then they die out. But again, it's like, when it comes to eating food, we're talking about the same thing, like good protein source, a good fat source, good carb source, not even eating too heavy a couple of hours before. So I would actually eat like a pre-game meal about 90 minutes to 2 hours beforehand, and then, like, small snacks. And if you need something like during play, if we're talking longer, then some kind of liquid that's easy digestible and goes straight out into your bloodstream, so right. You can actually use it.
Okay.
But you're talking about a couple of things that, like, beets are really, really good to actually increase the oxygen into our cells and into our mitochondria, which is basically our power plants. There's some other good ones, and we're not talking about taking any of these pre-workouts or energy drinks or anything like that, because that's not what you should be doing. You're not getting more energy. You're just getting you stimulate your central nervous system, which is a completely different thing. There's some mushrooms that kind of do the same thing. They increase the oxygen flow into our cells and into our mitochondria. That actually works. That creates more energy. So if you're trying to find a way to kind of hack the system, I would say beets and mushrooms are the kind of the things to go with.
Mother Nature's boosters.
And you see that a lot. Like, supplements are built on those two things too. So
right.
When it comes to those.
Awesome. Now, along those lines, we're going to skip one here. I'm going to reverse here. So instead of talking about the mental health next, we'll do the excuse me. We'll do moderation, and what does once in a while mean. So okay, you hear doctors say it oftentimes. You know, make sure you get some moderate this, or, you know, once in a while that. but it makes me laugh because like, well, what the hell does that mean? So for me,
Yeah.
once in a while means, I guess once a week, maybe once every other week, so twice a month, meaning like if I'm going to eat cupcakes or bread or pasta or chips, cake, cookies, or soda or beer, it's going to be twice a month. That's it. The rest
Yeah.
of the month for me, it's all, again, fruits, vegetables, just water. Uh, that's basically that, all natural stuff, So, but what does once in a while mean for you?
I'm pretty much the same thing. Like maybe once a week, and we're talking about like we're not talking that it's a whole cheat day. I don't believe in whole cheat days. I think like if you need to like you can eat more during or some so-called junk food during like one meal, then not like go the whole week and then just go crazy. Uh, like once a week, once every other week. But I'm also a guy that kind of like sweets and stuff like that. But I'm also a guy that only take like we're talking about chocolate or something like that. I take a couple of pieces or a couple of pieces of whatever treat or a little like a spoonful or two of ice cream or a cookie, and that's it, And I can do that. I can do that like once in a blue moon, or once in a blue moon. Like it happens that I eat like every single day, just a tiny bit.
Yeah,
But that's also when I work out and train and move 10,000 steps a day and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not a like a big consumer, but I eat it. Like I can have a bag of like candy lying around for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. You see, now to each his own.
Yes.
I could not have a bag of candy laying around my house. So I don't bring it into the house.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to eat the candy, I'll go to the local candy store, 7-Eleven, and I'll get the candy and I'll eat it, and that's it. But I'm not going to buy a big bag and bring it into my house. So my house is pretty like 99% like all just Mother Nature. There's no packaged goods, no candy, no again, no breads, no chips, no cake, no cookies, no whatever. But like tomorrow morning, I'm going out to. Do you have IHOP by you, the Pancake House?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going out tomorrow morning for IHOP. So that's going to be my, once in a while. Not only am I not going to go to IHOP for the next few months after this, but I won't have a cake or a bagel or, anything like that for at least another week or two. Or if I go to IHOP, I'm going to order oatmeal, which is I'm going to get yelled at because I'm going with my family. They're going to be like, "What kind of a-hole is this?" Like I have to order pancakes, which I love. I love pancakes. Anyways, but it's once in a blue moon. But I think a lot of people think like this. I think they think, "Oh no, once in a while, yeah, I only have a pancake on Monday, but then Tuesday I have a bagel, and then Thursday, I have some pizza, and then Friday a few hot dogs." It's like, oh, just once in a while. Like I never have hot dogs every day, but they don't see like, dude, it's crap though. You're eating crap every day. It's not. Yes, the hot dog is. You might have a hot dog once a month, but what are you eating on the other days? And the other days and the other day. So I think people's understanding, and I think doctors oftentimes, and you nutritionists and dietitians too, have to really kind of lay out explicitly to like, what is this? Have an absolute friggin' plan. This is what you can eat for snacks. This is what you can eat for breakfast. You can eat for lunch. But a lot of people, and again, doctors are notorious for this, and we love our doctors, but they're just like, moderation, and what the hell does that mean? So anyway,
but it's the same thing. Like alcohol is another thing, for instance. So I talk a lot with my clients because alcohol has a very big like negative effect on body composition and burning fat and things like that, or in gaining muscles. So it comes down to this: if they're gonna drink it, I usually say like you can have 3 to 5 servings a week. And that's maximum, like how you spread it out. If you want to have a glass of wine 5 days a night, like 5 days a week, that's fine or whatnot. Or if you go out and have a glass of wine, I mean, it's still a lot when it comes down to it. But like again, I'm trying to have people a rule or something like that. I go like many weeks without even drinking at all.
Right.
And when I do it, I'll have a glass of wine or a cocktail or things like that. So for me, like I'm not a big consumer of alcohol either.
Right. Yeah.
And then like again, it adds into another thing that people don't start thinking of. It's like pharmaceuticals too. Like adding up too many pharmaceuticals is not a good thing either, you know. So the longer that the doctor doesn't have to prescribe you a bunch of pharmaceuticals, the better your body is off too,
Right.
of course.
Well, you know, you said the word servings. I don't even think people know what the hell a serving is. I mean, honestly, I don't even know what a serving is. Like when you say
Yeah.
people say servings, oh yeah, 2, 3 servings. Servings are what? A serving. I have most of my friends. A serving means this to them. This
Yeah.
hulking big.
No,
You know.
you have to look. Then you have to actually look what it says on like on the backside
Yeah, no one's gonna,
where you
right?
have nutrition information. And usually, and this is the crazy part, Anthony. Like a serving size is so much smaller than people think.
Oh, right. So that's why I say this. You know what? Okay, for instance, box cereal. Okay.
Yeah.
I would never tell somebody. You know, again, I'm not an expert here, and we always listen to our doctors. We're just two friends having a conversation. Okay, but for me, I would say don't eat cereal. Just don't. That's it. No serving crap. Don't. Alcohol, no servings. Just stay away from it. How about that? You know, or have a glass once a month. I think people can understand that versus it's okay to have a few. And I'm not getting on you, Magnus. I'm just saying, like, you know, when people say servings or once in a while, these are very kind of subjective, relative, gray area type of things.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I don't know. So for me, I'm just like, no, I'm not doing servings. I'm just staying away from boxed cereal. And maybe twice a year I'll have something. But I think people can maybe understand that versus just the, you know, minutiae and generalizations. But anyways, okay, so that's that.
Yeah, but looking at it again, it's like when someone buys a bag, it's oh, you know, I'm just gonna have a bag. Well, what size of bag are you eating? Are you eating, you know, like a tiny little thing, or are you eating the super family size, which is like when you're looking at it, it's like 50 servings or whatnot, you know?
Right.
Like so that's the difference. I mean, it's the same thing. I saw my friend's son like the other week. He's sitting on his phone and mindlessly eating like Skittles, like, and we're talking about a big bag, and went through the whole thing without even like knowing how much he actually ate. And that's the dangerous part. Like, you need to have some kind of portion control,
right?
Even on a cheat day, you know, you can't go like completely like bonkers and then think that you're gonna like have good results if you're trying to lose weight or like feel better or whatnot, whatever it is, your health. Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, I think people think, right, I only had one bag. Yeah, but that bag, right, the servings is 7 servings.
Yeah.
So you had 7 bags, actually, not one bag. But anyways, okay, well, people got to get interested if they want. But, all right, my third topic was, and this is not really food, but I happen to kind of be linked to food. I was at Starbucks recently, as I'm at Starbucks every day. Okay. So, and, you know, like, there's a particular Starbucks I go to. There's a kind of like, and I'm not judging or anything like that. It's just telling you the truth here. There's like, I don't know, I guess, lack of a better word, homeless people that are, maybe they're not homeless, maybe they're mentally ill, but they kind of, you know, loiter around this particular Starbucks, and, you know, they're benign, they're not hurting anybody, and hey, whatever, I'm friendly, hey, how are you, this and that, and, you know, whatever. But I said to myself, wow, I wonder, because some of these people that I bump into on the regular at this particular Starbucks, they're older, they're like in their, an older's relative, but they're in their maybe 60s, 70s. And I said to myself, what happens to people when, you know, they're mentally ill? And I say mentally ill lightly. They're not like raving lunatics running around throwing rocks at people, but they're just, you can tell like there's something off, because they talk to me and and I'm polite and I'm like, oh, how are you? And you can tell like there's something off. And I thought to myself, this would be a good topic to talk about this, like, you know, mental health and what happens to our friends, family, neighbors, you know, people in our community who are not mentally well. Again, they're not crazy, but they're not mentally well. And you can tell like they, you know, they don't have a job or they're, you know, they're just struggling. So what becomes of them when they get to their older years, 60s and 70s and 80s? Like, where do they go? I mean, some of them are not homeless, some of them are. But like, do they live with their families? Do they just, I don't know, sleep in a homeless shelter, or do they have trust funds? Like, I don't know. And it's an important topic to talk about because whether we like it or not, it affects us no matter what, because they're in our families, they're in our communities, they're, and I'm not saying that I or you or anyone can just solve the world's problems, but it is a problem that we all have to face in one way or another, whether it's directly with our family or, again, these people that I bump into at Starbucks. So, I wonder, it's like, so Magnus, do you see this in where you live? Do you see, like, and I'm not talking about necessarily like straight up homeless, like they're in a dirt sleeping bag in the corner, although that's a problem too.
Yeah.
But do you have like people in your neck of the woods there in Cali that are kind of like drifters and, bohemians, and they're not, do you see that at places by you?
So where we live now, not that much. It was more like when we were living down in San Diego. It's more than so. Like I was visiting LA last week, and we went to Venice Beach of all the places. And then there's a place where a lot of these people end up, and it is hard. I think a lot of them are like end up homeless. Might be abuse in several ways and things like that. So it's a tough life. And also looking at it, they might not have if they have any relatives, they might not have the best of relationships with them either. So
Right.
there's that too. Like you might have a family, but you're not connected in any way or form.
Right.
Right.
And,
So that makes it even harder. I mean, if you don't have a support system, it's tough.
right. And I'm not talking about, like, again, it's hard enough if you're not mentally well and you're in your 20s, but if you're not mentally well and you're in your 70s, like, and they can't hold a job or hold down a job for long or whatever. And again, I don't, there's one particular man that I bump into a lot. Nice enough guy, but I know for a fact he does not hold a job down. I know for a fact that he's not mentally well because I interact with him, and I can tell, like, he's not, kind of, just without getting into a long story. And I wonder about him. I say, like, I wonder, like, I guess, his fate will rely mostly on maybe friends or family or the government, like, I mean, there are safety nets. I mean, police in our, cities or mayors or whatever, they're not going to just let you lay in the middle of the road. That's the extreme. But yeah, and I guess it's just one of those things that, and I said, wow, I don't know if there's anything we can do, especially if they're not, they're not starving, they're not hurting. These people, like I said, there's one particular guy, I know he has a place to live and stuff like that. I know he's not homeless, but I know that he has issues, like, just, you could tell with his mind, and they're like, I guess he'll be the obligation of his family forever or something. It's kind of like, I guess, maybe having somebody in your family that, has extreme special needs, that you're going to have to take care of them forever, but yeah, people fall through the cracks. And I was like, yeah, my heart goes out to them and this particular guy, because, like I said, nobody wants that. But yeah. So in where you grew up, what's the policy there in where?
So in Sweden, like growing up, I would say that again, with mental health and things like that, it changed quite a lot since I grew up and like till today. And a lot like beforehand, I mean, you had it like they basically like got locked up almost, like, and trying to keep them, help them out, see that they're taking their meds and things like that. But then the more and more the pharmaceutical got more and more advanced, it was like, well, okay, just put them on their meds, they're gonna be fine, and then we can let them out in society. Of course, it really doesn't work that way in real life. That are people actually taking the pharmaceuticals, and are they like going to treatment and anything like that? And you kind of lose a little bit control over them and give them more control themselves. So it's changed. I mean, and also, like one thing that I remember that is different from today is like people that had some kind of mental issues were usually walking around talking to themselves. Now every other person is walking around talking to themselves because they're on their phone. So for the people that used to that you kind of like that you could kind of isolate that way, you can't anymore because they disappear in a giant sea now.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah, and it just again, it makes me wonder, especially with mental health being such a poignant and important thing in our culture and around the world now more than ever. And by the way, I know in the New York City area they have a great thing now. It's called 988, I believe. If you dial those 3 digits, you get patched through to instantly to a qualified social worker or expert in mental health, which I think is great, and I also want to tell anybody watching, definitely check out betterhelp.com. And I'm not endorsing them. They're not paying me, but I've used that for just therapy for myself, for my life stresses and stuff. And I can't say enough great things about BetterHelp. You can do it on, via your phone. You can do text, you can do FaceTime. It's totally discreet and private. And they should be paying me, these freaking people. But anyways, I mean, I'm not saying that's going to prevent
no, we always talk about how important mental health is, and like getting a coach that helps you with like mental health. It's like anything else. Like if you're trying to become a better golf player or tennis player, you hire a coach, and it's same thing. Like feeling better and like mentally, emotionally, having a coach, if they can help you through it, like get one for sure, 100%.
Yeah, and I know that we can't solve every single problem on Earth. There's just going to be people since the dawn of the cavemen. There's always going to be people that are drifters and whatever, not homeless, but kind of bohemians that kind of just
also
live
don't
freely.
feel part of society either.
Right, and look, if they're not hurting anybody, that's cool. You do you, but yeah, I'm it's just a weird thing. It's tough to. Yeah, so I just wonder about them. I'm like, I wonder what their lives are like outside of me bumping into them in Starbucks. Like, I guess they just kind of drift. And in some ways, you can make the argument, it's almost like being a trust fund baby with $1 billion. They're drifters too, some of these people. They don't have jobs. They pretend they're models and they pretend that they're hot stuff, going to restaurants and stuff, but they're probably doing almost the same amount of no work at all, just like the guy I bump into. It's just kind of funny. It's just that they got a lot of money and people don't. Anyways, but yeah, so that's it, man. So that's interesting what they do in Sweden. And and if anybody has any questions or experiences of their own, please, by all means, type it down below there. And Magnus, anything else that you wanted to add?
One thing I want to add, like to the families and people that do take care of family members that might have an issues with like any type of problems with mental health and things like that. A big thank you. You're doing a important part in society and for those individuals.
Yeah. I think we forget, right? Yeah. Those mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and friends who are, being the wingman to someone who's not mentally well. I mean, they're doing more than just helping that person. They're helping their town, their community, their city, because, it's a domino effect. If you're going to let your loved one or again, family, friend, colleague just go and rot, guess what? You're making that person potentially more dangerous to society. Because you're putting them in a corner. And again, I'm not saying that will happen, but the odds are greater. So when your family or friends or community come together to help people who need the help with their mental status, that really benefits the whole community. So to your point, big shout out to those families and friends that are helping their loved ones and colleagues to, stay upright and do the best they can, because it's helping more than just one person. So for sure. So, all right, that's it, man. So, by the way, our next show will be our 100th show. Can you believe that? And so we're going to have an anniversary show. And then, anniversary, I guess, or celebration of the 100th show. So we're going to have some great content and things that we want to talk about and review and whatnot. So our 100th show, Wellness Week. And I don't want to give too much of it away, but, we'll get into it. And next week will be the 100th show. So we have to do a little celebration. And, it's been a great ride so far, Magnus, with you. And, so it's been awesome. So, so next week is our 100th show. pumped up about this. And that's that. So, Magnus, anything else before we part ways?
No, it's. I think it's amazing that it's like 100 shows in total, and looking at it, if like you and I are definitely like I'm definitely getting help from it. I know you are too, and hopefully it's more people than just us that gets a little bit kind of out of this. So
yeah.
That's what we're all striving for. Everyone's getting better and learn something new.
Oh, 100%. And I don't want to talk about too much because we'll talk about it in the next show, but I want to talk about, why, this show was started and why we're doing this. We'll get into that next week, but yeah, it's really important. I think a lot of it's obvious, but anyway, so, all right, folks. So enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see everybody next week for the 100th show. Okay. So thank you, dude. Thanks, Magnus. Enjoy the rest of the week, everybody. All right. We'll see you next week.